Welcome into this video mechanicsgram to break down our final topic in this video mechanicsgram mini-series, play positioning for force plays at second base. Now, this is ultimately something we've seen our umpires historically struggle with. So our goal here is to, one, stimulate your thinking, and then secondly, equip you with the fundamentals and basic steps necessary to effectively position for force plays at second base. So let's take a look here at what exactly we have to see in order to rule on a force play. So I want to propose us with this leading question, and that's to really stimulate your thinking to think about what are all of the elements we must see in a force play. So I want us to think about that. And, certainly we're good at that at first base. What exactly do we have to see? But at second base, we have to think about that as well because knowing these things is what's going to lead us to the right position to observe force plays at second base. So what are all these elements? Well, the first concept for us to understand here and for me to essentially emphasize to us is that our angle and our set and being set is most important on force plays. So we have to have the right angle to see all of these critical elements. And then secondly, we have to be set for force plays. Now, we can move a little bit on tag plays as we've learned with Will Littles, but ultimately on force plays, we absolutely 100% must be set. Now, angle and set are the most important. And again, that allows us to see then the most critical elements of the developing force play. That's one, ball into the glove. Secondly, the foot on the base. That's the foot of the fielder receiving the throw. And then ultimately the runner if he or she beats the throw as well. So foot on the base, ball into glove, and then everything extra after that. So that is confirming firm and secure possession, and then any ensuing action, such as interference on a retired runner. So as we think about positioning for force plays at second base, the approach, the angle that we take must number one allow us to see all of those elements of the play. And then secondly, we cannot be moving. We have to be set to observe force plays at all bases, but particularly then second base. So let's take a look here at some of the fundamentals for the 60-foot diamond on how exactly we'll take force plays at second base. Now, the first fundamental that we are going to want to see is that we step towards the throw. There are a couple different reasons as to why, and we'll list those here. But ultimately, the reason as to why we want to step to the throw is because that action alone generally allows us to put ourselves in the best position to see all those critical elements of the play. It allows us then to see the ball in the glove, which is imperative here because we don't necessarily have as loud or even if a sound as we typically would have for force plays at first base. We also want to see the foot on the base. And again, that's the foot of the fielder receiving the throw, as well as the foot of the runner achieving second base. So ultimately, stepping to the throw allows us to see those initial elements that we must see, ball in the glove and then foot on the base. Now, again, as we step to the throw, we'll initially start to move. So we want to be aggressive with the ball traveling on the ground. However, once that ball is fielded and that throw starts to be made, we 100% absolutely have to be set. So we cannot be moving on force plays, cannot be moving on force plays whatsoever. That will allow us then to, just as we do at first base, get our head, eyes, and body ahead of the throw. And then ultimately here, it would allow us to make sure our eyes are not arriving slightly before or at the same time as the ball, the runner, and everything else. That's when plays blow up on us. So step one is a step towards the throw and step aggressively. Once that ball is fielded, then we want to get set. And that way the play doesn't necessarily blow up on us because our eyes are moving and arriving either slightly before or just ahead of the runner or the throw. Now, again, if you're worried about reading untrue throw, just make sure that you observe the actions of the fielder receiving the throw. They're going to tell you whether or not that throw then is a true throw. Now, as we continue through this, we want to make sure we use our eyes properly. For out calls, we know that means that we see the ball into the glove and the foot on the base. We then may have to drift or move after we get set so that we can see the transfer of the ball into the glove, and we can actually make that signal while we are drifting. So if you think back to your two umpire system mechanics, we remember that you drop step to see the force play at second base, and then as you're ruling on that play, you turn to first base and drop step as well. So we can observe the play from a set stop position And then in order to see the other critical elements of the play, firm and secure possession on the transfer and any ensuing interference, that may require us then to, depending upon how far we get, to drift kind of towards that baseline extended between first and second base so that we can see that transfer and any ensuing action as well. So on out calls, that requires us to use our eyes properly, see ball in the glove, foot on the base, and then confirm firm and secure possession. For safe calls, then that is to see the touch of the runner. Now, I want to go back and revisit this whole idea of drifting because basically we have step towards the throw, get set, and then lastly, drift if necessary. So, why do we need to drift? Well, I've already answered that question fundamentally, and that is to make sure that we can see the ball being taken out of the glove by the fielder. That's to confirm firm and secure possession. We have to be set up until that point. But as we start to be able to confirm firm and secure possession, that may be when we take this secondary drift if necessary. Now, that'll also allow us to keep our eyes down on the play for any subsequent interference because there's no need for us to look at the back end of the double play. Now, ultimately, I want to show us a couple clips, and I think what you'll find here in a lot of these clips is that historically, this is something we've kind of struggled with. So we really want to boil it down to those fundamentals of one, step towards the throw, secondly, get set once the ball is fielded, and then thirdly, if necessary, let's drift then to that kind of baseline extended between first and second base so we can see the transfer to confirm firm and secure possession and any subsequent retired teammate interference that we may have, in this case, on R1 on the back end of that double play. So here's a great example here. So let's take a look at this one. It's a ground ball to the shortstop, and if you take a look at the action by our second base umpire, he doesn't necessarily step to the throw, but rather kind of steps down towards the backside. Why is this problematic? Well, if this umpire is over here, we're not going to see anything but the backside of the fielder, and we will not be able to see the ball into the glove. So that means we have to rely upon sound, and as we know, this flip doesn't exactly produce the sound we may be accustomed to seeing for angle distance plays or force plays at first base. So we absolutely have to be able to see the ball into the glove. Now, ultimately, this umpire does a good job, good timing, good eyes there to try and see it, good safe mechanic, and balls on the ground mechanic there. Now, again, you'll see this umpire kind of struggle with it again, right? So instead of stepping to the throw, we step to the backside here. And again, that may limit our ability to see the ball into the glove. Now, ultimately, I don't think that this angle is too bad for this umpire here. But remember, we want to step towards the throw, see ball into the glove, and then drift if necessary to get any retired teammate interference. Again, great example here. Ground ball to shortstop. You can see this umpire starting to break kind of towards the backside. If he stays here, he limits his ability to see the ball into the glove and basically is doing nothing but seeing the backside of the fielder. So we don't necessarily see the ball into the glove. Now, you see this umpire who kind of sees that, hey, I can't go there because I'm not going to be able to see the ball in the glove. And you can see him right here start to fix that route to drift to see the ball into the glove. And ultimately, his initial reaction should have been step to the ball, stay chest to ball, see all factors of the play, ball in the glove, foot on the base at second base, and then if necessary, drift to confirm firm and secure possession, and then see or observe any potential retired teammate interference. But again, remember, we have to be set for force plays at second base. Another clip. This one goes to second base. This umpire steps with the throw very good. Just basically need to make sure that we get set right as that fielder gathers and start to throw. Okay, so we're able to see ball in the glove, foot on the base. And in this case, this umpire saw that this fielder did not touch the base. A really good call. You'll see it on the back end of the replay. So a really good job of making sure that we keep our head and eyes down on this. And then if you take a look here, again, a great example of the fact that U2 does not need to look back at first base for the back end of the double play. Why? Well, we got an umpire at first base. So stay locked in. Do not look up at the back end of the double play. Stay locked in on this play as it develops at second base. Another good example, again, ball to the left side. We want to step towards the throw. In this case, that umpire does it. So we're able to see ball in the glove, foot on the base. And then if you see here, this umpire's eyes stay down on this action to make sure that we don't have any potential retired teammate interference here. So a really good job by that fundamental and that umpire and that to step towards the ball, get set, and then drift if necessary and stay locked in on everything there to confirm firm and secure possession or any potential retired teammate interference. Now, retired teammate interference is what we'll see here. So this umpire probably just needed to step towards the throw a little bit. I think he over pursues it and just needs to make sure that he gets set. Okay. So we're able to see foot on the base here, ball in the glove. And in this case, you'll see right here that we have a tangle up, if you will, here by this runner and this fielder. And ultimately, because we stayed locked in on that, this umpire sees it and does not look at the back end of the double play. We're able to get retired teammate interference here to go ahead and rule accordingly. So again, step towards the throw, get set to see ball in the glove, foot on the base, and then stay down to confirm firm and secure possession and make sure that we do not have any retired teammate interference, as we do here on the back end of the double play. And again, those are the basic fundamentals for us to make sure that we highlight when considering how exactly do we position effectively for force plays at second base. Number one, step towards the throw. Secondly, get set. And then third, drift if necessary so you can use your eyes properly to see and confirm firm and secure possession and any potential retired teammate interference on the back end of that double play.